So what are we doing today?
Making some returns.
This is how many returns did you say you make a week?
A week? Maybe like one.
I don't know about that.
It feels
like an average. On average.
Sometimes it's more than others, and sometimes it's none. I have standards, okay?
She's not allowed to buy furniture online anymore.
No, I'm not allowed to buy rugs online. You never said anything about furniture. You said specifically rugs. Rugs.
Let's go make some returns.
Getting out of the car to make returns, and look what Greg leaves in the car, as per usual. Oh, hello there, Greg's wallet. How many times a week on average would you say that you leave your wallet in the car when we're about to go? Yes, no, all the time.
Look at that cuteness.
All the time, all the time. Literally, even happened on one of our early dates.
She does have a point. I do leave my wallet places often.
It happened. It's a problem. What would he do without me? What would you do without me? It was so stressful.
Nice. It's a very nice store. I kind of get upset at my wife for making a bunch of returns, but the reason we are at King Soopers today is because I have a return that I have to make. I was gonna vlog right now. No, it's okay. I can move myself. Okay, that thing right there, that's a little scary looking, so I'm gonna turn the light on. It's just my son's football thing. I just decided to move it instead. Alright, so today in the vlog it is day 58, and we're looking at Numbers 14 through 15, and we're also looking at Psalm 90. So I think today is a good day to remind ourselves this is going through the Bible in a year chronologically. So it might seem weird that we're talking about Numbers 14 and 15 in addition to Psalm 90, but when you look at Psalm 90, it correlates perfectly with what's happening in these chapters. In Numbers 14, we see that the people begin to rebel and complain because of the report that they got from the spies who went into the land. And Joseph and Caleb, who were a part of that group of spies that went in, were trying to encourage the people and build up Moses, say, hey, we can do this, we can take them, but the people just keep complaining. They say they want to go back to Egypt, and Moses he's just done. He doesn't know what to do. He goes to the Lord, and God has this idea. And if you go back to Exodus 32, essentially what God says there in Exodus 32 is the same thing that he says here in Numbers chapter 14. Wipe everyone out, Moses, and we will start over with you, the nation of Moses. Now, if I'm Moses, I'm thinking hey, that sounds pretty good. But obviously, it was a test, and obviously God knew the promise that he made to Abraham, Isaac, and Israel. And we see Moses respond in a way in which saying, no, Lord, remember the promise you made to them, and why should the nations mock at you when you would destroy your people? And they said they brought him out to the wilderness to destroy them. It just doesn't, it's a bad testimony, essentially is what Moses is saying. I believe in this part of the chapter is where Psalm 90 would be included and infused. Essentially, Psalm 90 is Moses giving praise and adoration, acknowledging the hand of God and acknowledging the power of God. And there's a challenge that is significant in Psalm 90 that Moses really gives himself and the people and says, Lord, help us to number our days. Acknowledges God's steadfast love in that psalm. So this is an essential part of the story. Then after Moses intercedes for the people, then God says, all right, well, this generation, they will not get to enter the promised land. And the reason that they don't get to enter the promised land, and we find this out in the book of Hebrews, is because of their unbelief. Then they go to fight the Amalekites, some of the Amalekites and Canaanites, but they don't take the ark with them. They go in a manner in which God did not approve, and Israel, the people that went, just got destroyed. Then chapter 15 is instruction as to how God wanted his people to make sacrifices once they entered the land of Canaan. And really reminders about laws when a sin is done unintentionally. The chapter 15 kind of has a hodgepodge of different random things that are mentioned. There was a guy who was working, he was picking up sticks on the Sabbath, and the people seek God and say, hey God, what should we do with this guy? And God says, kill him. Pretty intense. Then they wrap up the chapter with God instructing the people to wear these tassels on their garments, and the tassels were meant to remind the people of the commands of God. In the midst of these chapters, and then Psalm 90 included, I can't help but think of the foreshadowing here when it comes to Moses interceding for the people to the Lord. Now obviously God, he knew that he wasn't going to destroy his people, he was going to keep his promise, but we see this as an opportunity not just for Moses to prove his integrity, but really for us to see a type of Christ, a foreshadowing of Christ being displayed here through Moses. If it wasn't for Moses, God would have very well wiped these people off. They would have been gone. They would have been done. But yet he intercedes for them. The Lord relents. And then Moses sings this song of praise in Psalm 90 about the steadfast love of God. And Jesus is the one who has interceded for us, and he continues to intercede for us, but he interceded ultimately on the cross. When he died on the cross and he rose from the grave, that is what appeased the wrath of God so that you and I, we don't have to be destroyed, but we can have faith and belief in him and thus have life. This is important to remind of the purpose of this vlog, and I know I don't always do it very well, but whenever we're looking at these passages, we always want to see ultimately how it points to Jesus and how it culminates in Christ. That is really even the whole idea of J137. And I should do a video soon to explain really all the details and intricacies about J137, but J137, it comes from John's Gospel, the first chapter, and really verses 35 through 37, but we kind of hone in on 37, and there we see John the Baptist pointing to Jesus. And as he's pointing to Jesus, people are following Jesus. And that's really what we want to do in this vlog. That's really what we want to do in our entire lives, is we want to point people to Jesus and show them how awesome and how wonderful he is.